going on, everybody? Hello, hello. How you doing? How are you, Clint? How's life? Jeffery. Welcome back. I'm waiting for Jeff Harris to come on board. We're gonna do a little chit chat for Redacted Tales. Ooh. Cool, cool, cool. So, other than that, not a whole lot going on over here. Hello, if you're new here, welcome. This is the interview portion of my show, Redacted Tales, on YouTube. I don't know what else to say about that, but ideally, it's a show that sort of does the typical interview portion, but I also like to do the short story narration as well. Originally, I wanted it to be, for every story that we told, we would interview the author or the narrator or both, but it's been really impossible to achieve because of timing and everything. There he is. I sent him an invite.
Okay, I'm on, I think.
Alright, good. I gotta turn my volume up a little bit.
Yeah, me too. Hang on, still ain't got the picture going. Thought I did. Hold on, my thing's glitching. Yeah, we're on. Hold on one second. Alright, let's try this again. Oh, that right. I was supposed to hit the save. Never mind, I got it. No matter how many times I do this stuff, it still gets me confused at times. It reminds me just how I'm not all there.
I'm not quite tech savvy either, but I try.
Oh boy.
Oh, buddy. Everybody, Jeff, everybody, take a moment to introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Jeff. I'm Jeffrey Harris, indie author here. I got several different books published. They're all on Amazon. I'm a multi-genre writer. I write pretty much anything that I can think of, mostly fiction. I'm hoping to sometime here in the near future to write some nonfiction, but as of right now, I'll stick with the fiction. And once I do some nonfiction, my first nonfiction book will probably be about some things that I've gone through and a few other people in the family. But other than that, I'm gonna stick with the fiction for now.
I've done some nonfiction in the past, mostly like book reviews and newspaper articles and stuff, but it's not as satisfying to me.
I do got some hints.
Anyway, I'll take a moment. Oh,
Oh, sorry, my thing's glitching again. I think it's my internet's going in and out on me today. It's been like I was in here writing earlier, and it was kind of like when my Grammarly program, the one that does the fixes for you and anything. It kept buffering a few times. I'm like, ah, it's probably one of them. It is Saturday. Sometimes on Saturdays or the weekends in general, the internet around here gets a little flustered at times. But I was just going to say, every one of my books does have a little bit of a piece of nonfiction to it. Like, for example, like Demonic Crusades is kind of based off a dream that I had when I was a kid. And then I also wrote some ins and outs about my life in some of these books. Like basically, it's like a it's like a puzzle. You know, if you open the book and if you study and look real hard, you know, it's like encryptions. You know, I'm left it in there, little ins about me. It's weird.
That's awesome. I also have had dreams that I've written into stories and stuff. I find it a great way of inspiration. How on earth did you hold on to it since childhood? That's the real question.
I ain't gonna lie to you, man. My mind is I think I got a big ADHD, ADD, OCD. Not as bad on the OCD, but all these have interloped as growing up. Because see, when I was a kid, we didn't really know about these things, and if they were there, it wasn't spoke of. See, my dad always used to get on me. You can concentrate so good on all this other stuff, but when you're in school, you can't focus on that. I said, Dad, I have a hard time doing the things I love too. I can't tell you how many times I'm sitting there watching a race or a basketball game or a football game, and I'm sitting there watching, and then suddenly I go blank, like, wait a minute, who just scored a touchdown? And it's because of my focus. It's so I can't tell I can't explain it. I mean, I could literally be sitting here and I can literally just blink no times at all. Like it looks like I'm home, but there's really no one there. And I come up with ideas for books like that, or movie ideas, or just sometimes I actually literally find myself in other worlds, walking in some like on a beach or something, and I can literally smell the ocean air. I kid you not. That's how strong it's like an imagination, like you couldn't believe it. It's crazy. I got to do something with this, so it helps to write.
Absolutely. I like it. I have something similar. It's not as intense as it used to be, but when
Yeah,
I was a kid, it was very much like what you're explaining. But over time, it's kind of slowed down a little bit.
yeah. It did for a little while, and then suddenly, as soon as I started writing again, man, it's even harder now. Like I can't even. I hide from real life now. Like I don't even want. I don't even. I've put my life on hold. I really don't do much of nothing anymore. Like as far as getting out a lot and such, I just I've shut myself down and I've just concentrated solely on the books. But it's also to deal with my mom, my sister, all that stuff I went through with the death and all that. It kind of closed me. It sheltered me. You know, it did something to me. I'm slowly trying to come back around. It's just one of them things. It's a slow process.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah, I hate it, but you know,
Unfortunately,
it
I'm
really
going
was.
through it too.
Yeah, it sucks. I should have waited and done my books when they were here because they were my biggest fans. Really, my sister and my mom were the biggest book readers, and I tell you, they would have already read through them so quickly. And I could see them now; they'd be pushing it out for me. They'd be trying to promote me every single. I could see my mom at work; she'd be, "You got to get my son's book. You better read that thing." I can hear her now, but
I was
it's
I was
kind of my
very
fault.
I was very fortunate in that like my grandmother got to see some of my success, if that's what you want to call it, before she passed.
Yeah, that's usually to me that's a win-win. You know, if even if they can get a taste of what you just did, man, at least they got a brief of it. At the very least, is better than not knowing at all. Which they knew I had the writer instinct because my sister actually read some of my stuff before, like some of my screenplays. Because remember, I used to write screenplays. They're not as good as my books, of course, but and I think that's what made me lag on my first few books is because I had to get the screenplay out of my head. Because my writing was more, in detail of scenery, storytell, but not book form. So if you go back and you read like The Novelist in the Lake House and A Soulless Death and the first Demonic Crusades, I mean they're not awful by no means. And I'm not trying to defend my work because I'm actually the first person to just to scrutinize my own work than any before anyone else will. But you could see where it's more storytelling and description more than novel formatted, if that makes sense. So yeah, but I'm coming around. I'm realizing I'm like, okay, I got to work on this because a few people called me out on it, and which I'm glad they did. I actually thought at first I thought I was being uh, scrutinized by them. I thought they were like putting me down, but now when I read the comments again, I was like, okay, they're not putting me down. So I went and read what they were telling me. I was like, oh, okay, they're actually helping me. So I went back and talked to them, and because I thought at first, they were calling me out, and I was going like, man, this just ended me. But no, they helped me, and I realized I was doing some repeat patterns. I didn't realize it. I had a couple words that were being repeated in the same sentence, and I'm like, ooh, I didn't realize I did that. I'm like, can't do that. It doesn't
Sure.
give the book a good taste, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Also, for people who have never written both, it's really hard to describe. But like screenwriting is super technical. It's like not as, I don't want to say fulfilling, but like you get away with a lot more in books than you do in screenplays. And I have also written a handful of screenplays, not to any real success, but I've
Same
done
here.
it.
I did have a few, if they were real, I did have a few options that came up in some emails where me and a friend of mine were writing screenplays together. I mostly did the writing. He did the reach out to different producers. I did have one $60,000 offer, but I wish I'd have took it because my mind is vast, man. I'm like my ideas, and I'm not exaggerating, is like the stars. Like just pick one. I got the writing ready. I just got to sit down and do it. And I was just scared that they were going to take it. And at that time period, I had a lot. I don't know. I felt that they were taking, and my name wasn't coming with it. And I felt, 60 grand is great, but I want my name on it. I'll take 10 grand just to have my name on it. And a lot of them just wanted to stamp their names on it. And I just felt bad. And I kept having this weird conscious feeling like, what if I did give in 60,000? Okay. And I took in, which of course, after tax, I'll probably get what, 20 some thousand out of it. All right. They get it. They go and they film it. And what if it hit and made 60, 70 million dollars? All I got out of the whole deal was that, you know what I mean? And that would kill me. It would just, oh my God. I was scared of that.
Unfortunately, that's a risk that we have to take sometimes.
I should have took the risk, but
It
yeah,
happens. I've uh
yeah.
I've got so I wrote my a short story that I wrote called Cathedral in one of my collections. We fronted all the money and made an indie film out of it, and it's coming out on Friday. So
Oh,
I,
awesome.
I I vaguely understand what you're doing. I understand where we're at. You know what I mean? And I don't do a lot of screenwriting, but that was one of the exceptions.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is, like you were talking about earlier, you can get away with on the screenplays is we don't have to put a whole lot of description because technically speaking, when you do a screenplay, heads come together for the scenes, For the books, I like to give the readers a feel of what the characters, and I want, so basically if the character is in a warm weather climate, I want the reader to be in that. I want them to feel in the vibe of the book. But I also leave some things open for interpretation. For example, like in the book I'm writing now, I've left a few things open for the readers to imaginate as well. For example, I might not go into every detail like what someone's wearing. I kind of want to leave that to you as a reader. I don't want to ruin it forever because I'm as a reader like to sometimes read a part of book where they're talking about a certain character, and if they don't explain what they're wearing, I can pretend in my head what this person's wearing. Or that's just an example, and I like that. It's just like dinner time. They're having dinner. I might not. Some books I will, and some descriptions I'll explain what they're having for dinner, and other times I won't because I want to leave it to the readers to imaginate. Because if we take the imagination from the reader, it's like watching a movie. Then you might as well just go watch the movie. It kind of, everything's already there, so you kind of have no interpretation for the imagination, which I love. I love imagination.
Yeah. My process for that is sort of like if it's relevant to the scene, then I will go into what they're eating for dinner. Or also if there's not a lot going on, like in conversation or whatever, I'll add that.
Definitely. Yeah, me and you are on the same level with that. I definitely agree. I actually do the same thing. If I got a good conversation, I got some planned lines coming up, I may not even discuss what we're eating. I may mention a little bit like someone said something while they were taking a fork of the chicken meat or something. I'm just, example. I do that. But oftentimes, like I said, I try to leave the interpretation. If I'm in an older setting, then I may mention the clothing, so to remind you that you're in the older setting, to give you that feel and the vibe. So somebody who may not, for example, some people's history, which I'm not making fun, because sometimes some people aren't equivalent to the historic factors of, like, for example, if I'm writing a story of the 1800s, some people out there might not exactly remember what the 1800s clothing is. And instead of them having to close the book and look it up, I can go ahead and describe someone and be like, oh, okay, 1800s. I know exactly what, yeah, which, yeah, stuff like that. I try to keep that open for the readers as well.
That's good. That's a good move. Also, like we have to be mindful of continuity, so you can't really like put a cell phone in the 1800s. That's
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I find that sometimes difficult.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I, um, I was writing one of my first books that took place in the 1800s. I'm trying to remember what it was now. I wish I could. I wish I'd have took a note on it because it was so funny when I realized what I wrote it. Because I went back and saw it. And I'm like, thank God I saw that. I actually made a mention of something. What was it? Was it a light? No, it wasn't a light. It was something, and I can't remember what it was, and it didn't exist for another 20, 30 years. I'm like, oh God, what was it? It was just one of the brain memories. I'm sitting there typing, and it just sounded good with the story, so I typed it in there, and then later I went back and looked. I was like, oh God, no, they didn't have that yet. They didn't come out to the 1900s.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I I recently did a story about an Amish woman, and I got to tell you, it was harder than I thought it was going to be.
It can be difficult. I can relate with that.
Yeah. Oh, I also wanted you to pitch one of your favorite books to the audience. Um, Tell them what you write,
All right.
what you're up to.
Well, as far as the story goes, my favorite is would be, as far as story goes, is book two of my Demonic Crusade series. But of course, both of them together, these are my favorite ones because it's full of everything from fantasy, adventure, action, romance, drama, you name it. It's in this book. Mythology, folklore. I mean, it's mention of gods. It's mentions of history sections like with Alexander the Great. Different places of Greeks and just man, it's just there's also mentions of Mayans, which I don't think I got to that. It's supposed to come up later. I think it's in book three where we mention the Mayans. We got dragons and such like that. But the big story I'm also trying to put out for everyone is my Novelist in the Lake House. I know it ain't got the best cover. I didn't have really money for a good cover at the time period, so I just took a random picture of a lake that actually is one a picture my cousin took. So I asked her if I could have it and use it for my book. But this is that dark psychological thriller romance, and I'm actually thinking about writing a sequel to that here sometime later this year because I've actually been asked by two or three different people that have actually has read it and liked it and asked me, all right, you left me on a cliffhanger. When are you writing the next one? And I've already got it installed in my head and ready to go. I'm trying not to write too many because I think I messed myself up by writing Demonic Crusades book two. It set me back a little bit because I'm trying to put a lot of short stories to get my name out there. If I start
Yeah.
writing sequels, yeah, no one's going to buy those sequels until the other one. It's just I had so much fun writing the Demonic Crusades because to me it's the funnest that I ever had in my life writing something. So it's a thrill.
Dude, do you have an open invitation to my show, Redacted Tales? You can send me something.
Okay, appreciate it.
Um, Also, I was gonna ask you when it comes to sequels, like, do you write it by demand, or do you have an endless idea that just won't leave you alone? Because I've never finished any sequels.
It's a little bit of both, but honestly, it's the ideas. Like the Demonic Crusades is honest to God truth is if it will be a success when I really out of all my books, I hope that series really, really thrives because I actually can branch out in hundreds of stories, but not to where they'll become okay, it's dragging on like Fast and Furious, which I like those movies, but they started, if you notice, they started dragging on, which I still watched them, but you want to be careful, which they still turned in money. So if it's going to turn in money, you always keep doing it, and that's the way I see it. I don't blame them if it's going to keep making bank, then do it. I mean, once you start filming it and it's going way down, then yes, stop. But if it's going to continue to sell, then stick with it. It's money. But for me, the Demonic Crusades can branch out in so kind of like Star Wars. I mean, it can branch out endlessly because there's so many galaxies, so many storylines. It's so vast. It would literally equal the grain of sand you find in the desert or on the beach. I mean, it's that crazy.
Yeah. I've always wondered, like, should I go back and do sequels for these books? And then I'm like, it's been so long for some of them that I'm like, is it even worth it? Every book that I've done, which is like 10 now, are all standalones because I just can't keep to one.
Well, that's actually not bad though when you do that, man. You got standalone because you got so many that you can actually. It seems to me like when people come across us new authors, they want to see the standalones. They don't want to see with your sequels just yet because I don't know. It's just something it's a vibe that I'm getting. Let's put it that way. I've been noticing more of my other books are getting picked than my series, and it's like, but I understand at the same time. And my series are a little pricey because they're so thick and big, and Amazon takes such a big cut. I really wish that soon as, and I've already got it planned, soon as everything starts to take off and does better, I'm coming down on the price of the books because it's not about I really don't want to be that pricey, but I would love to sell my books for $9.99. You know, as the same as my Kindles or $8.99. I would love to do that, but unfortunately at the moment I can't. Because I'm kind of using this money to continue to invest into the books, and yeah. So, like I said, once I get on my feet and things were to pick up, then yes, I can go back and go down on the price. But for now, I hate it because I've had a few people tell me, "Well, I'm gonna get it on Kindle for now. I'll try to get it on paperback when I can." And I don't know, maybe I'm not a good sales pitch because I'm not like the normal salesman. Like, yeah, yeah, it's good. You'll love it. Go buy it. And when someone asks me, say, I don't know if the book for me. And I'll tell them, I'll say, well, I'll tell you what is it you like? And then I'll tell them, like, well, this book might not be. There are a few things in it I think would set for you, but I wouldn't want you to spend that money. So you're better off just reading on Kindle Unlimited for now and see. And and I'm not trying to do it as a reverse psychology to where they would go, this guy's cool, I'm gonna buy it. I mean, it would be cool to work, but that's not really what I'm trying to watch for them because I don't want them to get angry and be like, yeah, he coaxed me into this and I couldn't stand it. I got to watch for this guy. I don't want that as my, yeah, I don't want that on me.
Yeah.
So,
Are you doing any in person events? Are you doing any signings, anything like that?
not yet. I've been so anxiety has gotten me here lately. I think honestly, I saw a video that someone posted, I think it was last year, and it hit me so hard psychologically, and it scared me to death. And because I was actually planning to do something similar. I was going to see if I could go to the bookstores here in New Bern, this is where I'm at, and see if I could do something like that just to see what would happen. But someone posted a video where this author was sitting at a table and people were just walking right by. I wasn't even looking, and I'm like, I can't do that. My anxiety gets me when I go live. Like just the other night, and it actually turned out to be a pretty decent live. It wasn't as good as mine 2 weeks ago, the one I did on Wednesday the first time, but the second one previous Wednesday, I think it was I got on just before 7 o'clock, and I think it was like 7:11, 7:12 when someone finally got on there, and I was fixing to close out. My anxiety was getting to me. I'm like, man, I'm kind of impatient, but not in the bad. I'm impatient as the anxiety because I get like, okay, I'm wasting. I'm embarrassing myself. All right, let's just close this out.
Buddy, I have done one of those empty shows before. It sucks. So I did this show. It was like a comic book convention type thing, and I sat at my table for like 6 hours and didn't get a single sale.
Oh wow, man.
Yep.
Just and it's not even about the sell. Even if just somebody would just come up to the table and talk, I can live with that. And it's just like going here. I go live, and next thing you know, I'm just because I don't really have anybody in my family or friends anymore, really in person that I can talk about my books with. So I really don't have anybody. So that's why I come up here and I'll do chapter reads. Sometimes it is to promote my book, but also it's just to talk about it because it helps me. It's that writer in you when you're sitting here and you're writing these ideas. Man, I really love this. I want to tell somebody,
Yeah.
and I really don't have anybody, man. And it really irritates me sometimes. So I have to unload on somebody out here, not in a bad way, but I mean unload so much that we're like, all right, I gotta go, Jeff.
Yeah, I hear you. For me personally, like I get much more success at in-person events than I do online. For whatever reason, I can't sell, even though I have like a very niche marketing strategy. I've never seen anybody do what I do. It doesn't
Yeah.
work. I've tried, multiple of times, but everybody's like, "Oh, your makeup is fantastic," and I'm like, "Yeah, but it doesn't sell books for whatever reason. People are not clicking buy." It kind of
Man.
sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it does. I actually had something happen the other day, and it felt real good to me because I always said But then again, I had talked to that person, so I'm still waiting on the one angle. But the other angle is, oh, usually what they do is they'll contact me first before someone puts a book review of my about my book on the TikTok, right? Well, this person, I've actually had one or two people, maybe even a little more. Now that I'm thinking about it, who will post something and you don't even know it's happening. It makes me feel so good to see that. They're talking about your book. My book's with a few other good name authors that they're showing, and it's like, oh wow. But the one thing I'd like to see one day is get on here and see someone I hadn't even talked to, someone who's never even spoke to me yet, showing my book. Like, I came across this book on Amazon. I don't even know who this author is, but this book looked good. And you know what I mean? That would be awesome. That right there is, to me, that's the cherry on top.
That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened to me either, so.
Yeah. It'll come around. It'll get there. It'll get there. I have faith in it. I have hope. I think what it is, I think it's better to climb the mountain and have that big adventure before we reach the top, instead of just being lifted up there automatically. Like some people get success so quickly without hardly even trying, maybe because of someone in the family, or they got lucky and met someone who was already famous and can help them. But, I like that, but I also like to climb. I would like to go through all the hurdles and stuff, because I feel like once you reach that, you're going to appreciate it more and you're going to respect it more. Unlike, I feel, to someone who's almost had it handed to them, they won't respect it as much. Now, don't get me wrong, not disrespecting them. I'm just saying I have seen some people who got success through their family, like actors and such. They just kind of go through their career and it's like they don't care about the fans as much. It's like, I already got all this. I don't really. With us, we have to really relate with the fans to get their attention, which I don't care how famous I was to get. I mean, I could. My books could sell hundreds of thousands of copies, and if I can, I want to talk to each fan that I can, each friend, even on here. I always want to make time for them, no matter how busy it gets.
I relate entirely, even though I have a hard time imagining you being behind a desk for like 3 hours at a signing without getting completely anxious and freaking out, and while there's a
Yeah, I
line
can
going.
see that. But at the same time, I know my first few times would be just exciting. Like, I mean, it would just be like, oh my God, this is amazing. I would love that, especially if it's people loving the books. If they're coming up to give me some bad reviews, like, I don't want you signing this book. I just want you to take it back from me. Like, oh Lord. I don't know if that'll happen, but I hope that, which I won't. I'm pretty good about not hating the people, because, like I said, I'm all about everyone having their opinion. But I also do like it if people don't view it too nasty, because I have seen some authors get some reviews. I've seen them on Goodreads and Amazon, and I've seen some reviews that are just, oh my God, what in the world? Like, what was it? I mean, these are big name authors that got some of these reviews too. Like, someone wrote a review on somebody's book, said, I forget how they said it, something about, you can pay me to read your books and I will not accept your cash. I'm like, wow, or something like that. I'm like, good God,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
evil.
Your book isn't even useful for toilet paper or something like that.
I've seen some comments near that, or
Yeah.
somewhat like that. Yeah, I've seen some crazy comments. I've seen some on movies too. Like,
Thankfully, I
yeah,
haven't had anybody.
it is funny, but
Thankfully, I haven't had anybody return my books in person. That would be horrendous. But honestly, the best part, I should say, about doing like the live events, I would avoid the signings that are by yourself at first. Try to do like conventions and stuff like that where there are other authors, and then get to know them. Dude, it is so worth it. So, I don't know, like
okay.
4 years ago maybe, I was just walking through this convention and I met this other horror writer. His name's Dwayne. And I was like, how do you get into these events? That's what I want to know. And he's like, oh, here's my social media. I'll tell you when the next one is. And I was like, heck yeah. And then Dwayne and I became friends. And then I started going to the same events that he did. And it sort of escalated. And the doors really opened for me.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Heck yeah. So yeah, I mean, sometimes we catch those breaks, and that's what you need, and it works. It's like, what was it, 2024, late summer? The idea hit. Well, that was my phone. Can you hear me all right? Because my ice maker's on behind me. Okay, I just want to make sure. I think it was late summer 2024. I had this idea, and I was scared to do it because I'm like, man, it's gonna sound like it's gonna make me come across as a bot, especially like how Facebook is. Facebook is notorious for that. But I started messaging readers and pitching my book idea or the books that I have available. I'm not doing it in a, hey, go buy my book, nothing like that. Just I tell them a brief description about the book and what it's, and it's available on Amazon. And I'll wait for them to say something, or if they heart it, and I'll send a few videos, or I'll just send a message like, hey, it was nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Just to let them know that I'm not here for anything else other than book related. I'll talk to you about books and such, so you ain't got nothing to worry about. I'm not here for, because I know we're living in that time where you got to be weary of who you talk to and who you trust, what you fall for, scam artists, stuff like that, which I would never do that to anybody. I don't have no intentions on that. But I've been scammed nearly a few times on Facebook. I actually had someone, and I really thought they were honest about trying to help me promote my books and all. I'm like, all right, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden they pitch the sales, how much, it will cost. I'm like, what? On TikTok, I had people share my content for nothing at all, just to, out of generosity of wanting to help somebody. So, yeah. But anyway, through that messaging, I've met so many good people. I met you that way, I think, or was either you on Impromptu is when I met you. I can't remember now. But I've met Shay, I met Clint that way, if I'm not mistaken. I met one of them, and they met me through the introduced me to the other. I really want to say it was Shay that I contacted first, and then she introduced me to Clint, and then that's when I started doing Impromptu from time to time. Yep. And because of them, I met so many more great friends on here through the messaging. So I'm like, I might just stick with it. I think one or two people messaged back, did not like the fact that I messaged them, and I respected it and moved on. So other than that, it's been pretty easy.
Yeah, Impromptu is how we met. We've been on the panel together like, I don't know, 3 times maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we met.
I've lost track. I can't remember. I had a few times last year, and I remember one time they brought me back as a fill-in because someone, they didn't get nobody else. It was just me. I forget who it was now, but yeah. It may have been me and you that one night around Halloween. You know what? I think it was because it was just you and they didn't have anybody else at the time. So he asked me that week. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I think it was around the Halloween or the day before, if I'm not mistaken.
It probably was, yeah. So I notoriously sit on the bench for Impromptu interview. And it's not even a secret. Like, I don't book with them hardly ever. Like, I just sit on the bench, and when somebody can't make it, it's me. I'm the fill-in.
Yep. That's kind of what that was. It was, yeah.
It's not that I don't want to fill in with them. I just know that I'm going to get on the show like 5-6 times a year anyway. So I just...
Yeah. That's kind of like it is with me. I don't ask or anything. I just wait it out, and whenever or I won't be on standby if they do need me. I try to watch every single live they do. I try to catch a lot of people's lives on here. It's just I lose track of time. I'll get in here, start writing, or I'm doing some other things, and I don't even think of the real world. I venture off into the fake world to get away from everything, and before you know it, I'm like, oh crap, 7 o'clock was 3 hours ago.
Yeah, I actually missed yesterday's show for that exact, or Thursday's show, sorry, for that exact reason. I got in here and I started doing a makeup look, and I lost track of time, and then by the time I knew what was going on, it was long over.
I got on there in the last 2 minutes, and I'm like, oh, man, I feel bad. I did not realize it's pushing 9 o'clock, and I'm like, crap, because I try to support them, and I like to get up there and support the other authors, to get up there and try to make friends with them and, try to welcome them, especially the new ones that it's their first time being on a live or something, because I really love to help them in and make them feel good about it. Because I remember how I felt. I still get like that, to be honest. Not as bad as I used to be, but I still get a little. I get more anxious and nervous when it's me by myself when I'm doing my own live than I do on someone else's. But yeah,
for sure. I've done a handful of lives by myself, and it's rough. Unless you're like actively doing something like what you do, the reading, or I do that sometimes too. I haven't done it in a while. I used to do live readings a bit. Or I do like special effects makeup now on live, and as long as I'm like occupied, I'm not as nervous or whatever. But
yeah, I feel like the reading chapters on here kind of helps. It gives everybody an idea of what I got. Helps, like, especially if someone was to, and this is also the reason I started doing this, because I'm thinking of it in that terms of what if someone was just scrolling around. They'd stop on my live to hear me reading, and they're like, "Man, that sounds good." And then what if they were to comment, "Hey, where is this book available?" And I tell them, "Well, that's on Amazon." Next thing there you go, you got a sales pitch, possibly. So I kind of like to think of it that way. Or meeting another friend or another author may come across and see it, and we just come up with ideas together. Because I've done that. I've done a few brainstorming with others before, and it's fun. It's very intriguing. But the chapter read also gives me that opportunity to talk about the book, and it makes me feel good to be able to read it and kind of get an idea of what someone may think right there on the spot. So, yeah. And it also helps for me to understand what I need to do different. So if someone was to say, "I like it, but you're repeating," or I don't know, whatever. Someone might see it and they can tell me ahead of time, and I can work on it. So, because I'm always open to suggestions of what I may be doing that could push a reader away or that may not catch a reader's interest. So I try to listen for that stuff because it's good to hear that.
Sure. I'm all for constructive criticism as well. There's definitely some destructive criticism out there in the world. Oh, you were just asked when you're going to do a live reading.
Yeah, I just saw that. I'm gonna try on Wednesday. I'm actually trying to make Wednesdays be my appointed day to do that, at 7 p.m. Eastern time. That'll be the day that I'm gonna try. I usually, what I'll do is I'll wait for people to get on. Once I get a couple people on, I'll ask them. I let them usually make the decision because, I brought all my books just in case. But these are all the books right here, and I usually let them pick. And I got the dark psychological thriller romance. Of course, this is part of the Demonic Crusade series. This is book 1 right here, all by itself. Book 2 got split because it was so much bigger. And it costed so much more. They took so much of a big cut by putting it all in one big book, so I had to branch it out. Then I went to the folklore of creepy tales from around the Appalachian Mountains. So if anybody loves stories of the folklore and the mythology of the mountains, this is just all this is. So people, because I've had a few people get confused, they think that there's supposed to be answers about different things. It's just part of the folklore and the mystery. I do have a few stories in this that kind of does have some answers that explains, but it's because it's my made up version. But as far as the Wendigo, the whistling at night, the certain stories, that's in this. And then of course, A Soulless Death. Now here's the thing about Soulless Death. This is my sci-fi horror mystery. I love the story, and I think everyone who actually, not one person that has read this book has not liked the story. They have loved the story. But I criticize my own writing in this one. I haven't had nobody criticize it. I've had one person, though, and she's a friend of mine, and she was being honest for me. I had a few repeated patterns in this, which honestly was written on purpose to throw off the reader, because I wanted the readers to feel the main character's his struggles. So it has a few, yeah. So I'm a little criticizing my writing in this one, but as far as the story goes, it's definitely a unique story, and it will make you think all the way through.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. I have one of those books too where I haven't gotten any deep criticism. Everybody seems to like it very well. I wrote this young adult novel called Without Saying Goodbye, and it's about the troubled teen industry, and it has gotten fantastic reviews. There are a handful of people in the comment section right now that read it that really adored it.
Yeah, I hadn't got around to any of your books yet. I'm planning on. I'm reading Sour from Shay. I read Clint Baker's Mr. Candle's book. I actually loved it. It was a good book. It was honestly, I think the reason why I liked it so much is it took me back to a time when I was early, right before my teenage years. I used to, man, I did so much as a kid. I mean, I was always on the go. I was, as a little boy, I'm out playing sports, I'm out playing with toys, hanging out with friends, riding my bicycle, watching cartoons, watching movies that most kids were never allowed to watch. I played video games. I read books. I did all that in days. I kid you not. I used to go to the library and read Goosebump books. I also read a few Stephen King books back in the day. And I used to read big, big books. And there was this one book series, I cannot remember the name of it. I'm going to try and search that later today. It was I don't even know if it was a big, successful hit or not, but they were books I came across by accident when I was, middle school, and I liked them. It was something in Duncan. It was supposed to be two friends, and it was multiple stories about them, and I liked them. They were kind of adventurous a little bit, and that's what his book reminded me of. It took me to a time when I was reading adventurous novels, and I don't know, it sit well with me, you know? It brought back a good memory.
Yeah, Mr. Candle's book was fantastic. Sour was great too. I've read both of them.
Yeah, I'm on chapter 11 on it. So I was talking to Shay about that last night. I'm like, I'm 300 pages into your book. And I'll tell you, I love it. That's a good book. I've already made discussions with her about wanting to get together with her one day in the future and write a psychological thriller, together if she was interested. She's interested. She's just got to, she said it'll probably be sometime next year 'cause she's got some. And I said, oh, no, 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 no rush. Anytime. There's some things she wrote in that book that literally made me think of some of the things that I wrote, like in The Novelist, just a little bit. And I'm like, man, we're kind of on the same page on some things. And I thought about it. I said, man, imagine a psychological thriller with two good heads with that thinking of that style of writing come together. It could be a hit. Because I would love to co-author with other authors. I would love to brainstorm together and come up with ideas together and write a novel together. I think it would be fun, a fun challenge, something different, unique. I would love it.
Yeah. Co-authoring is a difficult task. I've never successfully done it. I started one ages ago with a guy, and we never finished it.
Yeah, I did a co-op screenplay with one of my best friends back in the day, but I never done a novel. But we used to was on the same page when it came to screenplays. Of course, like I was more of the writer than he was, but he wrote, but I was more of the long term of the writer. Because like I've always had this, and I used to tell people when I was a kid, you can literally put me in a padded room, close the door, you can leave just a lamp in there, and I'll come up with a full-on story somehow or another based on the lamp, but it won't be ridiculous either. I don't know how to explain it. I can look at something and come up with ideas. I do it all the time. I can actually be walking and air, just the wind blows a certain way, and it'll trigger an old memory of something, or it'll give me a thought process of something. Next thing you know, I got a book idea. Can't explain it.
Can't explain it. Sometimes they just show up like magic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I have a similar experience. I've been, just minding my own business in traffic, and the ball starts rolling, and I'm like, oh, this is going
Yeah.
somewhere. Oh, this is really interesting. And then the next thing you know, you're like, I have to write this down or I'll forget.
Yeah. I hate it sometimes. I could be going to sleep at nights and I'm tired. As soon as I roll over, start closing my eyes, all of a sudden these ideas start coming out. You got to be kidding me. And I'm laying there for 2 or 3 hours because all these ideas. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It's like I love it and I hate it at the same time. But honestly, I wouldn't trade the way my imagination works and the way these ideas, I wouldn't trade it for all the money in the world. I know that sounds really stupid, but I love it because honestly, I think it keeps me grounded to a degree. It keeps me living. I think without my imagination and these ideas, I think especially a couple years ago, I think I would have been so depressed to the point where I don't think I'd come back from it. So I think these ideas, meeting other people, of course, on here on book, I think Book Talk also saved me a lot. A lot of the people on here really put a lot of pieces of my life back together, and just the fact that I get people message me, man, I loved your book, blah blah. It's the best feeling in the world. I mean, there's no other feeling better than that to me. I love it.
Yeah, the best part about this whole thing is honestly the community. And that's part of the reason why I did Redacted Tales the way I did it. So I wanted both ends of like the narrative short story part and then the interview part as well, because I think the way that people buy books is that they buy the person first. So
Oh yeah,
if I can get you like a little sample of your writing, which is the narrative part, then I can get an interview with you. I think it would lead to more sales, is essentially the way I set it up.
yeah. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's why some here lately I figured by doing the chapter reads that gives the viewers a good idea of what to expect. Because honestly, this is just from my train of thought. If I hear someone reading a chapter and that chapter sounds good to me, I just pretty much assume the book's going to be good and I'll give it a shot just because of that. I mean, I've just hearing other people talk about certain something, excuse me, it gives me the idea. So I'm like, okay, I can work with that. If that chapter had already pulled me in, then I can't imagine what the whole book in general would do. And my favorite thing is when you open a book and you read the first chapter and you're just, like when I got Mr. Candle's book. that first day of getting it, opened it up, and I just opened it up. I didn't have no plans to read it yet. I was going to wait later that night. Next thing I know, I'm reading 2 or 3 chapters into it. And I did the same thing with Shay's book. I sat down and I was just going to read just chapter 1 and read chapter 2 the next night and whatnot. And next thing I know, I'm reading through chapter 2 and I'm like, oh God. I mean, I love it. And when a book does that, it's pretty much, you can assume it's going to be a 4 or a 5, definitely a 5 star if I'm already hooked that easily. The only way I take that 5 star away is if you kill one of my favorite characters. And even now, but I'm just, I like to goof with them, though. I have goofed with a few people in the past. You kill my favorite character, I'm giving you a 1 star, which I wouldn't, but
Uh, I might be the only one in this, but when I have like a big book, I'm a little intimidated by it. So like with Sour, it's a thick book. So when I
yeah,
picked it up, I was like,
did the same way.
I was like, oh, I mean, it's Shay, and I knew it was going to be good, but I was intimidated by how thick it was, and also I don't write any books that big. Like none of my books are even close.
As you can see, this is probably the shortest book that I've wrote, which was the Creepy Tales from Around the Appalachian Mountains. Which honestly, the only reason I made this book the way I did is because I just could not write one story. I was like, man, I got so many different ones that I want to write. So I decided to turn it to like a campfire tale story. And like the stories that they share at the campfire is stories that they've either heard growing up or they saw in a YouTube video and they're just sharing with their friends. And I put some of the legends in just this book alone. I wanted to see what it would do. And then I'll write some spinoffs, like the full version of certain stories and such. And then, of course, my biggest book. Well, I can't really say this because it's been separated, but if you were to put this together, you kind of get the general idea of what this book would be. But the biggest book on its own is my first Demonic Crusades, which is about nearly her size. It's about 600 and some pages. But yeah, I get like that when it comes to reading. But I do, and I will admit, when I wrote Demonic Crusades, my first time going through it, I was getting a little intimidated at first because I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna mess this up. I know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get around 400 pages in, and I'm gonna cut so much stuff out, and I'm gonna ruin my story. But I couldn't, because once I got into that book, it just, man, all these more ideas just stepped. I mean, it was like a water leak, and at first it was just drip, drip, and the whole darn wall came open, and water just spilled right out. I mean, that's how the idea is. I'd get up, and this is me as a writer. I come out here. And my idea is I read over what I had, my last paragraph or last chapter. And when I get ready to sit down and read or write, sometimes 90% of the time, I don't even have an idea yet. I just come in here to get started. And as soon as I look, I can only read, most of the times I'll see the paragraph. Next thing you know, I don't even realize it, but I'm typing it. I'm typing the next parts, and next thing you know, I'm going on down the list. So as a writer, I don't plot everything that I'm going to. It's kind of like when I do videos. Like comedy, I may plot the general assessment of it, but as far as the lines go in the video, so if you ever watch any of my comedies, 97% of the lines in any of those is improvised as the camera's rolling on me, as I'm filming it. I don't plan most of that stuff, and that's God's honest truth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm a pantser as well. I don't plot worth a damn, to be honest. I just kind of have a vague idea where I'm going and get there somehow or another.
yeah, just to answer that person, original folklore of my stories from. Yeah, I love Appalachia, by the way. That's another reason I wanted to write. I try to visit Appalachia as much as I can, and I tell you the stories. I honestly didn't realize so many stories that went on. And I started watching these YouTube channels and some of this stuff, and I'm like, I mean, I know some of the stuff's. Honestly think it's just for fun, for scare tag. But honestly, it's good for some of these stories, whether it's true or not, to keep your mind open when you go into these woods, because there are some things that are truly happening where people are strangely disappearing, and that stuff is true. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. There's been so many accounts through police reports and stuff of people going missing, and some of these reports, believe it or not, people were found months, weeks, days later, way out. Like there's a story in the Appalachian Mountain book that I got where a kid went missing up in Massachusetts. He was found in West Virginia. I think it was what? I forget. I don't want to give away the story, which I think most people won't remember when you get to it anyway. But I think it was like 4 months later he was found, but he wasn't the same kid. And but I'm not going to tell no more. But yeah, so and I've heard, and that's actually based on some of the things that I heard. I just scrambled it up some.
Yeah. As we descend into the last quarter of our uh, of our interview here, I think we can answer some questions if you guys have any in the comments section. Uh, we're gonna wrap it up at 1 hour, but if you don't have any questions, that's okay too. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever. But
I love that.
I love your passion, like your passion for the books. Once you get talking about Demon Crusades, you just light right up. It's
I love that
fantastic.
series. Yeah, I think it's because of the dream. It was starting out as just a basic little dream, and honestly, there's been so many movies that were made that was so comparable. So I had to go and reestablish it and revamp it. And now, because originally it was never meant to take place in ancient times, it was actually supposed to take place in the 1800s. It was supposed to take, no, yeah, well, a little bit before that, but still, I like this route that I went with way better. I feel like it put more in depth into it, more character. But the thing about the first book, so any to make this clear with everybody who does, if you were to give it a chance to read this one, the book is going to surround more around. It's going to surround three main characters more than anyone else. Damien, who is the demon. He's a half breed, actually. He's a demon and human. He's from Atlantis. The female, Olivia, which is the woman he falls in love with, she's a Roman. And then, of course, the main antagonist, Mammon, who is the demon that becomes the arch. He's already an arch enemy. Him and Damien already don't see eye to eye because he can't control Damien. But when he finds out that Damien has a love interest with a female, or a human, I mean, I should say, it drives him deeper into, this is my chance to get rid of him. I can kick him out of the legions, out of the demonic empire, because he doesn't want Damien a part of the empire, because Damien's got a heart, and he questions motives when it comes to killing innocent people. He does not like it. They have to lie to Damien in order for him to do this thing. So space opera, I like that. I ain't gonna lie to you. I can write a little bit of anything. I really can. Some of my books, I haven't got to a lot of the space and aliens just yet, but I already have an alien book in mind. I have a zombie book coming out. As a matter of fact, I actually wrote a screenplay on zombies, and in the screenplay it was called The Rise, and I'm going to change that because I think that name's been taken. It wasn't at the time period when I wrote that. It wasn't taken. I actually looked into it. At least I don't think it was. But I'm going to revamp that up, and then of course I got vampire novels that I got planned to write, and I got all kinds of ghost story stuff. So I love, and of course I got the book that I'm currently working on. It's a sci-fi mystery. It's a sci-fi thriller.
Mhm.
Once I'm done with it, I actually have a romance novel that I'm going to write next, a romance thriller. So I actually thought that idea hit me all yesterday at once, and I already have the book prepared. Just in, yeah, honest to God truth. I already have. I actually pace. If anybody was to ever see me pacing around, it's because I'm running ideas in my head and I'm piecing everything together and getting it ready.
Oh, Mike, I just did have a question and it ran away as soon as I had it. That's not good.
Oh, sorry. That's because I won't stop talking.
Nah, that's all right. Um, oh, yeah, I got it. Do you, like me, have a graveyard of unfinished work, or is that just me?
You know, I could say yeah, because there are some. I ain't gonna lie to you. In a way, you can say yeah, because there are some scenes and some things that I've wrote in some of these books, and I look back at it and I realize I didn't put some of those things in it that I was wanting to at the time. So now, what I'm going to do though is I'm going to take those scenes and use them for something else. So that way, it's like it's kind of like when you ever do a model car and you always got scrap pieces. So when you get another model car, you can actually use those pieces on it and change up. That's kind of what I'm going to do with these books. So I'll take those scrap ideas that I either forgot or came up with after the fact, and it's like, oh my God, because I've read some of my own books and saw some of the chapters, and some of them I'm like,
Mhm.
oh man, I just missed a golden opportunity. I could have put this and this, and I was like, you know what? I'll jot it down in my notebook and write it for another book.
That's that's interesting. I don't do it per scene, but I have like a lot of unfinished stuff. So over the course of the past whatever 15 years, I've written almost every day for a long period of time. So I have all of these unfinished things. So everybody assumes that I write really fast. It's not that I write all that fast. It's that I'm sitting on this mountain of unfinished work. If I can pluck something
Yep.
out of it, work on it for 2 weeks, and then send it out. And
That's
it's kind of an illusion, is what it is.
I actually had a couple of people like, man, you're putting them down pretty fast. I'm like, well, it's honestly, it's, I come in here, I sit down, and I only intend to write a page or so on some occasions. That's what my intentions are, to at least write a little bit. But that little bit becomes another 2 chapters at times. It's like, oh my God, did I really just write this much? I'll be, when on days where I got the time to spare to do it, I'm writing 4 or 5 hours and don't even realize it. I got my coffee or a iced coffee, and I'm in another world. I'm in a zone. And when I'm in that zone, just leave it and just go with that zone. Because I have had on occasions, it's rare, where I come in here, I write a few things, it looks good, and then I hit a boom, like, uh-oh. And there's so many options, and I can't pick one, so I'll get up and pace around. And that's what my pacing is. My pacing is my gather it together and see where we go with.
Yeah, Ted says that's how he works too. Um, yeah, I, I it's kind of hard to explain. I kind of write by priority. So whatever needs to be done first is the way that I focus. So like some of our friends, I got to deal with Stephanie James Publishing. So for the last whatever month or two, that's been my only priority. So I've been working on that one book for however long, and we're still going through edits and stuff. But yeah, spoiler alert, everybody. I will be a part of that family along with our friend Mike Minicky and Krista Moran and Shay Smith. I will have a book as well.
That's
Um,
awesome.
my book takes place 10 years after Shay's book.
I got a question for you too, and any other author that's on here listening. When you write, do you edit as you go, or do you wait and finish the chapter and go back and edit, or you just edit the whole book once the whole book's finished?
That's usually how I do it. I usually do the rough draft as quickly as I can. Um, I don't usually edit much. I mean, if I do like basic spelling errors and stuff, I'll catch them on the fly. But as far as like big edits, no, I don't do that.
I'm too
I usually
OCD.
I could understand that. No,
I
I don't work like that.
formula. Edit as you go. Yep, that's actually what I do now. Believe it or not, I used to write the whole book out and then I edit, but I realized something one day. It was taking me forever to do the editing because I had to read. Because I'm also the OCD in me makes me read it over 3 or 4 times because I'm so. Uh, I don't know the word I'm looking for. I guess scared that I'm going to have something that's not supposed to be there, or I actually left something. For example, when you write something and you wrote early in the book that this took place or this character had some kind of a problem, and then later in the book you don't mention that problem, and then the reader's like, "Hey, well, so they just got cured of their problem? You didn't." So
Yeah,
it bothers me. So now I've gotten to where I edit as I go through, and I realize it makes my book a lot quicker too. As far as but I still go back and still do more editing when I'm done, and of course, I do proofread because I don't Google Docs.
yeah.
And what I'll do is when things edited out, I'll go back, reread the whole thing, fix it up again. Then I'll give it one more read over, make sure everything's good, send it to my Kindle, what's it called, Kindle Creator,
Mhm.
and then I'll read it again, put it, format it in the position everything needs to be. Which that used to be what I struggled at was formatting my book. The editing, I was starting to get better at it, but I was struggling on the formatting, and I couldn't realize what I couldn't identify what I was doing wrong. It's like it was weird because I can open up a book and see what needs to be done to it. I can be like, oh wow, this. But when I go to do my own thing, I can't think for nothing. It's like, what in the world? It's one of those. It's like a vice grip got a hold of my brain when I'm writing my own stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I get now. I gotten to where I can format a little bit better now.
Yeah. So I'm kind of old school. I'm kind of old too, but old school. In that I write with Microsoft Word. Yeah, I know. Save it. Uh, and I also
I
use
want Microsoft Word, but my Microsoft Word ain't working on the computer. So then I used one of my books. I did Notepad, and it was okay. And then it glitched out on me. So I was like, you know what? And then I found Google Docs. I'm like, man, Google Docs is even better for me. Okay, it fits my criteria a lot better. It's got my Grammarly there, and I can send that file to the Kindle thing. I can go straight from there to Amazon KDP. So I was like, okay, this works.
and in order to like keep from getting a lot of plot holes, I have a sticky note that I attach to my laptop. So when I know that something's gonna like need foreshadowing or it's gonna come up again later on, I just write it down on the sticky pad, and then I'm like, okay, I have this, and I'll readdress it later on in the book. And sometimes I end up with two or three or four different little sticky notes, but it works. It works for me.
Yeah, it does pay to have sticky notes or something written down in some notes because I wrote one of these books. It took me a little while to figure out Google Docs and figure out all the stuff my Kindle create. And I got it all figured out and I didn't write it down. I figured, I'll remember this. I went back to write my next book. I sat in here for the longest time doing all kinds of things. How do I get it back to the Kindle create? What do I do? And I was so lost, and yet it's so easy. And after I finally figured it out, I grabbed my notebook. I said, let me write it down step by step. So because my anxiety was going through the roof. I'm like, good gracious. I mean, I'm very impatient at times, and if things, it's kind of like I'm that type of person where if I turn the computer on, I click on something, and it does that buffering thing, I get agitated, and I just almost want to cut it off and walk away. I get with people I can be patient with, but when it comes to computers and stuff, I have no patience.
Perfect. We are going to wrap it up here soon. So tell everybody where you can be found, your website, your whatever.
Um, I do have a Instagram account, which I don't really use it that much. I need to get on there and check it out. But anyway, I mostly do on here on TikTok on Book Talk. I'm mostly on here. This is the best place to find me for the most part. I do have a Goodreads account, and I do have my thing on Amazon. So you can also follow me on those two platforms. As far as my books go, I don't have a website just yet. I've actually been intimidated to get one started because I'm not really familiarized with a lot of the computer stuff. So as of right now, just Amazon is the basic place to find my books, and they are all available on paperback, Kindle, or Kindle Unlimited.
Buddy, go to Wix. So Wix is super user friendly. That's who I use. It's easy to set up a website
Okay, I'm gonna look into that here in just a moment. Then.
and affordable too. It's not that bad.
Okay, I have to
All
look
right.
into that.
I'm Clarence Carter. You can find me at clarencecarterauthor.com, or you can find this show, hopefully you found it, but YouTube at Redacted Tales. Thank you so much for coming. It was great having you. It's always good to talk.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You have a good night.
Oh yeah, y'all too. Everybody take care. Y'all have a good day. Have enjoyed the weekend. Take care.
Yep, you too.